welcome to Map Industrial. Being the very first new map to be released back on the original PSVR 1, this map has seen a lot of play time. It hasn't really undergone many changes, so a lot of things we're going to talk about here are things that have been utilized, I guess, since people first started playing it. We're going to talk a little bit about the different areas that are best to either camp or sit at or rotate towards. It's not going to be very mode specific, but we're going to continue the general trend of just talking about very good locations to sit and watch for your opponent and get the upper hand on them first and foremost. But let's get to it. All right, to start out, we're actually not moving very far from where we just were. Sometimes you will spawn over here, especially if you're on team 1 in a free-for-all or team deathmatch or whatever. You'll probably be starting back here at some point. The other team is going to be spawning all the way on the other side of that office building back there, and they're likely going to push up into the mid lane here towards these big white containers at the far end. So you don't want to push up too far, giving your position away. If anything, you're going to want to push over to this blue container here, or even to these boxes. If you're looking to hold the mid lane here, the box is a very good spot because you can see straight down all the way to the white building at the end. You also have a little bit of coverage to provide up here on the balconies, and even if you start getting shot there, you can crouch behind the box for good cover. I myself like to push up to this location because not only can I check over the white building here up into that balcony, but I got this one covered and anyone to cross the street. That is presuming I might have someone over here to guard me down the mid lane, but even if I don't, I have protection here. But utilize these boxes in this area to try to scope out your enemy's path before you move forward. If there's nothing there, you always have the freedom to move up to the red container or jump over this fence and get a different position. But from the starting point, this is a pretty good one right up here. Now, another good spot is if you spawn back here, you can run across the crates or grates all the way down these stairs, and there's what we like to call the tin roof or the red roof. It's right next to the warehouse, which you can go through the warehouse, but let's talk about the red roof real quick. You just do a couple of hops to get up here, and you immediately have a great position to hold the bridge building, the second floor balcony on this end, and you can also see movement up all the way down towards the white building and give some intel that way. The upside to being here is you can crouch down and you're practically invisible. You can also prone if you want, which I've seen some people do, and crawl up, but just remember that your mobility is limited and you're going to move very slow, so you're going to want to get out as quickly as possible. You can also rotate back towards the warehouse, which I particularly like going through the warehouse because I can stay nice and low, get behind these big tall rusted containers, and I can check down this lane, which allows you some visual access to the bridge entrance, which you can get picked off from this location. But back here is the inside pit of the industrial map, and some people like sitting in that corner. You can also catch them coming out of this back corner down this lane here. So this is another good position, but at least gives you some intel. So from red roof all the way through warehouse to this side, really good spot to take up residency. Now, if you're lucky and you get past this location, which is where we were at the start, you can get to this white building. A lot of people refer to it as the white building. Why is this so good? Because you got lane coverage here and you got lane coverage here. You got to be wary about grenades, but if you got teammates all around you, they're going to be the primary target because they're more easily seen. If you're sitting here at the white corner building and they're getting picked off, or at least they can give you intel, you know what you could do? You could pop right around the corner and you can pick off the people who are shooting at them because they're going to be focused on your teammate who might be at the top of the street, at the bottom of the street. So it's a very good supportive position. I wouldn't recommend staying here beyond a couple of kills. Grenades are bound to come flying your way. But let's move on to the next spot. All right, we are at the bridge building. This is the bridge building, the connector building. Now, you can see we're right over at that white building, but this is more if you're coming from this the other direction. If you're coming from the other end of the map over to this side of the map, a good position that you can sit in, particularly in hard point, because the hard point will require the use of this building, is sitting right back here underneath the stairs. Now, if you're back here, you'll be able to capture the point while maintaining, some protection, but you have very limited mobility. Is about as far as I can move. Don't crouch and try. You won't be able to go prone back here, but don't crouch because your feet will stick through the building. So try to make sure you're standing at all times, but it's very easy to pick someone off as they come in here. Very good location for hardpoint. But at the same time, you can use this location to get someone who's sitting at that blue container or the white building or the boxes. You can provide some intel that way. You can slice the pie, get someone on the red roof we were talking about, the warehouse. And if you need to get out quickly, you can go this way and run right back across the bridge to some safety. Speaking of, you can also come up here, especially if you've been able to push to this position. A very good spot, one in particular that I like, because you can get visuals of the red container there and also the blue container all the way down to behind this wall. If you're really gutsy, what you can do is you can peek around this corner and see if you can get someone over here. Sometimes you're able to, but you're incredibly exposed in doing so. So unless you're confident no one is over here, I would recommend just staying inside. But that being said, let's move to the next spot. All right, we're gonna stay in the central building. We are now up on the 3rd floor. If you can get up here, it's great. For search and destroy, this is a very good spot, especially because there's a bomb site usually right here. But even in team deathmatch, people are trying to capture this location, particularly out near the balconies, the 3rd floor and 2nd floor balconies, which we will get to. So a really good spot to sit is kind of in this corner. It's really dark. You can even get up here if you're very skilled. I personally struggle getting up here, but I've seen people get on top of this cement stack. You could sit in this corner and pick people off as they come through. It's a very good location to sneak up on your enemy or catch them off guard. So utilize this to your advantage. On to the next. Alright, this map being so large, we're going to be going over a lot of points, and this one in particular is a fan favorite of both not just regular public match players, but also those in the competitive league. You'll definitely want to take advantage of this one, but be sure to watch your 6 and also be sure to use your mobility to get out, because people are going to be looking in these spots. We were just over in that corner where it's nice and dark, capturing people off guard as they're running up the stairs to get to this particular spot. The 3rd floor and 2nd floor balconies are favorites, and I'll show you why. This corner in particular is very, very good at getting people who are going up the white stairs to the white containers on this end and controlling this lane, because realistically when they're coming out of their spawn, they're going to be coming from back there up the white stairs or even down through this mid lane here. And from this position you can actually control their movement, especially around the white building. A lot of times you'll see people who are trying to hide behind the white building, maybe recover some health after you've shot them, and they'll try to run down this mid lane or even behind these containers, and you're in a prime position to start capitalizing on their mistake. So you can use this side, or even better, which you'll find most people who spawn on this side of the map, they'll push the inside from down here and get to this corner. Now, why is this important? You remember that first location we were talking about at the blue container. Well, look at the prime position here. You can't tell from where I am right now, but this location, it can be very difficult to see someone at that distance. You see there's a white backdrop there. It's a little bit more well lit. It's outside here. It's a little bit darker, even though it's relatively well lit. It's darker backdrop as well. So it's harder to see someone actually sitting here. So this gives you a prime position to start picking people off from this angle, especially at the boxes right there, which is where I was telling you to be careful. You can also catch people at the red container or anyone possibly pushing down into the outside pit area. You also have extreme, probably the best control of the center lane here, where people will try to take control of as well. Because if you can get onto the pipes, you can get in the building relatively easy, and that's very beneficial for a game mode like Search and Destroy. But if you could hold this location, you got extreme control over this middle lane. So this is a prime position where a lot of people take up residency, and you'll definitely want to try to capture and knock people off of their perch as quickly as possible. That being said, let's move on to the next spot. All right, there are 2 locations in this general area that I want to bring to your attention. This is the inside pit. This is where for like hardpoint and search and destroy, like search and destroy, bomb site B is here, and there's also a hardpoint that spawns here. Capturing and taking control of the 3rd floor and 2nd floor balconies is so important, especially like if you're like me on hardpoint, a perimeter player. You're not going to want to jump and dive into the point. What you're going to want to do is hold from this position. Now, the second floor has much better coverage overall in terms of like barriers to hide behind. The third floor has very minimal. You have the pillars. You can back up so they can't see you, but you got to be wary of grenades. And then you have these boxes, and that's about it. And the boxes are here because people like to sit in those corners. But yeah, you definitely want to hold the interior balconies here on the inside pit for general control in the objective-based game modes. Now, for team deathmatch, this isn't very versatile or useful, but if you know someone's in the building, you might want to creep through this area because not a lot of people think that you're going to come up these back stairs here and get from behind. You can see here's the one location in the corner where it was really darkly lit, and also you can come up through here, and unbeknownst to them, you can take them off of their perch in these corners. So utilize this area in a variety of different ways. Team deathmatch, keep in mind it's not going to be very beneficial unless it's to take people off of a certain perch. The other area, which I don't want to necessarily cut to another scene yet, is literally right next door, and I like to call this the prison walk. Why? I don't know. That's just a term that a lot of us have used, or at least some of us have used. It's one that I've used, but I like calling it the prison walk. So up here, it's a very beneficial spot as well, because if the spawn is all the way in the back here, then you're going to have control of people coming down this lane and people going up on this lane towards a white building. The number of times I've taken someone down while they're exiting through this office or going up towards the white containers here, or hell, even coming down the side here, the last thing they're going to do is look up. Now, you can't stay here very long because they will, upon next spawn, try to launch grenades up here. That happens so very often. So what you're going to want to do is get as many kills as you can while you're here before getting eliminated, and then rotate back inside, and then you have the ability to control this spot if it's not taken, or one of the other many spots that we've talked about already. But with that being said, let's move to the next location. All right, we're down just outside the main building. There's the prison walk, and here's the office. The office for hardpoint is a very good spot, especially when the hardpoint is in here. You'll want to utilize the desk back here. You want to squat behind the chair, and if you really are interested in holding that point and really avoiding some of the utility that's going to be coming in, drop a smoke, go prone, and lay behind the desk. People are not going to necessarily expect you to be here, or they might, and you still might get taken out by utility, but you increase your chance of survival by sitting behind here. Now, for hardpoint, that's about it for this location's utility, but for team deathmatch and search and destroy, this is a very good spot to gather intel. If you get inside here, you actually have the benefit of using the windows in complete protection, because you cannot shoot through these bad boys. So you can provide intel. Yes, they can see you, but if they can't see the rest of their team, then you become the focus of their attention, allowing your teammates to move around. So even though you might not get a lot of eliminations from this position, you can use it for great intel as to which lane they're going to be covering. If you don't see anyone coming down this way, you can assume that maybe they're going to be going that way. And even furthermore, you can check out the balconies here. Even if I hop over here, you get a much better view. So the office is a great spot to gather intel and also fight from in particular game modes. That being said, let's move on to the next location. Okay, so the main office building is that long one that we were just in. This is the other spawn location. I'm going to show you a few parkour techniques to get into the next spot that I think is advantageous, especially if you start on this side. There are a couple of parkour routes that you could take. I'll show you one going from the blue barrels up to the roof, but there's also one over here that you can get up to rather quickly. Just know you're going to expend your stamina here, so keep in mind at the very start of your spawn that you're going to be using a lot of stamina, unless of course you use the perk to counter that issue. But the spot that I'm talking about is up on the roof, and let's show you how to get up there. So you're simply going to follow this path. You're going to go blue barrels, this little roof, and then up to the top. Simple as that. You're going to come down over here. You can crouch, get up here, and the upside is you can jump on these to get onto the roof. Now, this isn't exactly the spot that matters the most, although you can use this to your advantage. Notice the wide range that you actually have on top of the roof. You can see very far down these lanes, and you have a lot of general control, but this is best for intel. But where you really can get your shots is coming over here to the AC units, which you hear a lot of people call them, and you can tuck behind or between them even, and you can see straight down the lane towards the blue container that we started off at the beginning of this video. You can also check red container, and if you really want to get gutsy, you can push out here and check at least up there. Now, a couple counters to this particular spot is the prison walk, and also if they're able to get up over here to this side of the pit, from those stairs they can lob a grenade up and over to get you. Is this a very beneficial spot in search and destroy? Not for the entire round, but certainly for the initial onset of the round. You can hop up on the roof, gather intel, try to take a couple people out if necessary, but this is best for hardpoint. That is, if the hardpoint's right in the office here, or even right out here at the red container, but it's best in team deathmatch. So utilize this if you want. The other route to get up here, which I will show you, which you originally saw, was through these water containers all the way up. You will typically spawn right here at the onset of the match or at the onset of the spawn. You can get up there by jumping on these boxes and then just taking the same route. And as you can see, I ran out of stamina, so you got to be careful and mindful of that. But yeah, you definitely want to use the AC units as an option for getting not only good coverage, but also good intel, and get a great perch to get a couple eliminations while you're at it. With that being said, let's move on to the next one. Alright, now I could talk about a plethora of different spaces and spots that you can sit here in the pit area, like right below this grate. You'll see that there's a container. It's very good for the search and destroy and hard point that might be held here. Same with the pipes over at the other end, or if the hard point's over here, you can sit behind these boxes for coverage, and you're very difficult to see, especially when people are trying to push you from different angles. But you're going to have to find some of those locations on your own, because depending on the circumstance, they might benefit you and they might not. I want to show you a spot that benefits you regardless the game mode and regardless the situation, and it's right here. Many people don't know about this little cubby corner, but there is a spot over here where you are behind a tin wall, and you can hop up onto these walls here. You get great view coverage. You can see all the way down the lane, and at the same time you can cover the top balconies, which is fantastic. You can also cover from pipes all the way down this lane, and you also got coverage over here. And if you start getting shot at or attacked, you can simply just drop down. You don't even have to crouch. You don't have to go prone or anything. You have the wonderful tin panels in your way to provide you the cover. Now, if you're really gutsy and you're like, hey, I want to shoot, like I've got a spot you could shoot through there, but that's only a minimal amount of cover. But if you want to be sneaky, someone's here, you could utilize that too. But this is a really good spot for general use, even if you're in search and destroy. And if you really feel like, okay, I'm gutsy, I've got confidence, I can pull this maneuver, you can hop up on top of it even, and you get even better coverage. So you can see I'm up here really high, but you have much greater range all the way down to pit. And if you start getting shot at, as you can see, probably from red roof or one of these containers over here, you can just simply drop down, and then you can make your escape that way, and people won't really know exactly where you're going. But yeah, utilize this little cubby hole. It's a great spot. People underutilize this spot, and hopefully this video kind of encourages you to use it. All right, the last spot I'm going to show you, which is the last of, well, there are many, many more that you can find yourself, and I encourage you to explore. But one last spot that I want to show you is actually right here at the ramps. These aren't underutilized, but used by pros quite often, and you might see it in Publix every once in a while. But search and destroy, and even hardpoint, when it's down here in the outside pit, you can utilize these ramps as coverage. So for example, if you want to plant the bomb there, or what have you, you can slide underneath. You can even just crouch and go underneath if you want, as long as you get underneath this particular panel. one, you're hidden from the cameras. They won't be able to see you. And two, this isn't necessarily going to be the first place someone looks. So you have coverage all the way down over here at these stairs and at these stairs. And if you know they're coming through the back and they're going towards the bomb, you can peek out and shoot them that way. Or you can peek out and shoot them that way. Same can be said about underneath here. You can also sit here. You can't be seen from the cameras. And you can't be seen from either side. The only spot you have is right in front of you. Obviously, you're not going to have your laser on, but a lot of people don't necessarily look here. So if you plant the bomb in a perfect spot, they don't see you, and they go to try to defuse, you have the upper hand. Same with hardpoint. If you want to provide cover, yet you don't want to control the point necessarily, you can sit here as well. Alright, and that's going to end this map review of Industrial. It's one of my favorite maps, and I hope some of these locations that I pointed out to you are to your advantage. Be sure to stick around, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one because there's plenty more to come. But hopefully you use these spots, and I'll see you guys out on the battlefield. Hopefully not in some of the locations because I'll be looking out for you. Alright guys, see you in the next one.